Why, hello. Um, all right. Welcome to Art of the Budget. My name is Nicole. My pronouns are she and her, and I live in the Pacific Northwest on the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish nations. And today we're looking at my 2022 budget projection. It is super different than last year. And I'm not going to lie, I'm feeling the pressure. I'm feeling the pressure. So, let's see, let's make this so you can see it. I think that's better. Okay, so yeah, let's first of all just talk about what's different. There's a couple things. One, I have previously been really lucky to have extremely low overhead. My car I bought for $2,800, and while I've had to put a little bit of work into it over the years, it has been a very low cost for me. My car died on Thanksgiving Day here in the US, end of November, and I had to purchase another car. I used all of the tools that I have in my tool belt, but I did take on a little bit of debt for that. So basically, I bought a $12,000 car. Obviously, after tax and all that, it was a bit more. And so I have around $8,000 worth of debt. I would like to pay that off as quickly as possible, but there are a couple of other things. So number two, over the years, if you have been a watcher, or if you become a watcher and go back and watch my budget check-ins, I have another expense that has increased quite a lot in the last few years, and that is my cats. I have two black cats. Their names are Junior and Violet. They are literally the lights of my life, and they both, in that sort of first few months of the pandemic, got diagnosed with some heavy stuff. Violet, we were actually looking into probably a year, even more, and it was through process of elimination of several things that we figured out what her problem was. Junior, however, who honestly, Violet has always been the easy child, and Junior has always been very high maintenance, but Junior just seemed to be doing great. And then one day he coughed. He didn't have a hairball, he coughed. I thought that it was asthma because he had a brief bout of asthma in his youth, in his high maintenance youth. But when I brought him into the vet, they discovered his heart was enlarged. He had liquid around his heart, and he had developed this because of his thyroid being overactive, hyperthyroidism. And so he has been seeing a specialist, a cardiologist for his heart, and then is on lots of medications. Actually, most of them are for his heart. And thankfully that has improved. But anyway, it's expensive. That's a long way of saying that that's a huge expense, thousands and thousands of dollars. I spent about $6,000 on them the first year in 2020, and in 2021, I think I spent around, my budget says like $4,000, but I had actually been given a $1,000 gift by one of my neighbors, actually, who really likes my cats and I guess really likes me and is just really kind and generous. So it's like basically $5,000 that I need to account for. So yeah, that's another increase. That's number two. So number one, car. Number two, cat expenses. And number three, before the car thing happened, I had made the choice that, like, for my own happiness, I love teaching, and as y'all know, in my budget, you see I have income in addition to my regular full-time job. Most of that is teaching, adjunct teaching, and I made the choice to take some of the quarters this year off to focus on my own work. And so that is known income that I will not have coming in. Now, I'm hoping to make some of that income back with my work, selling my work and with my business, but that is like an unknown factor. And so I kind of look at it like I am like how some people have like a working partner and then they can take a little bit of time to like work on their own thing, time off of work to work on their own thing. But I'm the partner and the person taking time off work. So I'm taking time off of my side gigs to work on my passion side gig, which I hope can become a profitable side gig. But at the end of the day, profit is not my number one goal for that. Actually, having a connection and a comfort with my studio practice again is my main desire. And so that's something that I have been missing for several years. Adjunct teaching is another passion of mine. Teaching is. I love it. I love my students. And of course, the income has allowed me to achieve a lot of my goals, as you have seen over the years. But yeah, I'm going to take a little break. So the way I've planned my budget is that I will only be adjuncting the first quarter. Where I work, we're on the quarter system. So we have a winter quarter, that's January to March. April, May, June is spring quarter, and then we have a fall quarter. At this moment in time, I could elect to teach in fall quarter, but fall is also like the high time for ceramic and artist sales. So that is an option, but at this moment I'm budgeting as if I will not be taking that option. So that's what we're working with, y'all. Life update. Okay, so yeah, here we go. Because I'm a month ahead, I'm planning for 4,000 in January, 3,500 in February, 4,000 in March and April, and then I'm hoping this is right, 3,500 in May, and then 3,000 for the rest of the year. Yeah, there have been a variety of reasons. Like I used to have that pretty down pat, but because I'm now a month ahead, I'm not totally sure if that's how the contracts will work out or if I'm including an extra adjunct payment in there. But I mean, that should be pretty close. So typically, I put in my income and then I put in all of my known expenses, including ones like sharing, things that I like, fun things that I are not essential but I want to pay for. And then I see what I have left at the end of the year and I think, okay, what can I do with that? What kind of goals can I set? This year I had to change my mindset a little bit. And I also realized I'm really privileged to have had, even though it was not a large chunk of money at the end of the year, to have a chunk of money at the end of the year in order to set goals. This year I had to kind of take more of a make my goals and prioritize them so that I can then apply as I go. So let's look at, we'll get to that down in the bottom. Let's look at the plan. So I've got my income set up. As I scroll down, you can see I simply didn't have the money to do my typical sharing, my 5% of my take-home income. But I am going to be shifting that over to any sales I make. So this is like 5% of my net take-home income. And I'm actually shift this over, even though it's going to be a smaller amount altogether. I'm going to do 5% of my gross sales going to sharing. And I also am planning to do a few other fundraising events. I used to do a lot of fundraising through my work. Maybe a lot is not the right word because I didn't necessarily raise tons of money, but a lot of the projects I did had some kind of fundraising attached to it. So I've got some things in mind, but I'm going to be, for this year, taking it out of my regular budget. It was a hard decision for me, but honestly, that money just isn't there. You'll see. Okay, so going down, this is just savings is just what I plan to bring in from interest, and actually, it's probably not even going to be $4 because right now my emergency fund is a bit lower. At this moment in time, and I really pondered this, I'm planning to continue my monthly contributions to my Roth. I wondered if I should make my Roth one of my tiered goals, but at the end of the day, I felt like I did talk to my mom about this. If I could swing it to keep it automated monthly as opposed to trying to like do a bunch of sales at the end of the year and make it that way. That I should, because you can't get back time and all that stuff. But let me know what you think down below if you would make the same choice, which hopefully I'm doing an okay job of explaining the situation. Okay, so scrolling down, housing, most of this stays the same from year to year. Thankfully, my rent has not gone up. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. Electricity, 40 usually averages out to be about right. Phone is $65 still. Internet is $90 a month, and I really do need to call and negotiate with them. So that hopefully that's something that could come down. Groceries. Okay, so I talked about this in my budget check-in. I originally didn't do this, but then I realized I needed to get my CSA, so I fixed it. So anyway, I had actually made it so I would have a budget of $275 a month. Now, groceries are just going up in cost and inflation and all that. But the bottom line is, like, I've always sort of spent more than I really need to on groceries for various reasons. I just have bougie tastes and I like variety and I like my meat to be like locally sourced. But I have sort of zeroed in on a way to get meat pretty affordably for the most part, and doing a CSA really helps. And I could definitely always work a little harder on my grocery budget. And again, I needed to just take the cost down somewhere. So anyway, in the past, this would have been $3,600 for the year, but this year it's $3,300. And then January and March have a bit more, and then the summer has a bit less, and that is because I'm paying for my summer veggies here and here, and so I don't have to buy as much groceries in the summer. Restaurants also went down. It used to be 100, now it's 75. That's just the way it has to be. Household is 35. Kittles, this $80 is basically just signifying their food, but I have to buy them every month. And their litter, I usually have it included here, but I think I'm going to just maybe stockpile like a year's worth of litter and just get that out of the way. Again, you'll see at the bottom how the Kittles thing will work. Going down, I'm keeping gas at 100. Registration is $10 a month. Obviously, I'll have to pay that. That's in November for me. Entertainment. The one thing I did give myself is my Hulu account. Now I pay for Hulu and I share it with some folks, and then some other folks share their accounts with me, so I have access to at least one type of entertainment. As for fun, I had to take that. It was very fun to give myself $100 a month for a while, but I had to take that out. It simply wasn't there to give. Auto insurance, as you may know, went up because I have financed my car. If I'm able to pay it off early, this might change. My insurance for things like if someone got hurt in an accident, that stuff I've always, for the last few years, I went in and brought that up because I used to have it be the bare minimum. Now, like collision is higher and that kind of thing required by the bank because of financing. And then when I have the car paid off, I'll make the choice if it makes sense to keep it or if it doesn't make sense to keep it. I imagine I'll probably remove it because my car's, it's still a used car. It's not worth so much money. But anyway, we'll see when the time comes. Okay, so, and then renter's insurance. Somehow I saved up an extra year, so I'm giving myself the year off from that. I don't exactly know how that happened, but like, hey, it's cool. All right, so at the end of the day, I really only had about $5,700 left. And of course, that was not all my essentials, right? I have to pay for my little cats and for their health and for their lives. So I basically tried to, because I'm adjuncting in the first of the year, I'm tried to front load this very important sinking fund. And so I have it at almost $4,000. And I'm hoping, of course, that I can put a little more in there along the way. And then car, of course, this is not a want. This is a must. I must do things like give my car oil changes and do basic car maintenance. And so I wanted to have that plus $1,000 saved up in case something happened and I needed a repair. At least I would have a little bit. You know, I like my sinking funds. They are for essential purchases and then also for emergency funds in front of my emergency fund. My emergency fund right now used to be, light got weird, used to be $10,000 and right now it's only about $6,000. So that's another goal. Yeah, so that's the car. And then I had just a little bit of money left over, and I decided for right now to put that in travel. This would be if I'm able to go home next year at the holiday, which is something that I typically do, but COVID definitely puts everything in question. I really questioned going home this year. In terms of like everyone's safety, mine, my family's, everyone who is an employee at the airline and other travel things I had to use. So anyway, that's where I kind of stuffed that right now, but of course that will go somewhere that is essential. So anyway, 3,937 for the cats, 1,432 for car, and then 325 for travel. That was all I could allocate. So I do have additional goals, things like getting my emergency fund back up to at least $10,000. But that will be if money becomes available for those purposes. My goal is to be able to pay myself from my business account every month if possible, but we will see. We will see how that goes, and that will be another video I'll be sharing, at least quarterly check-ins for my business. But anyway, that's me for 2022. Let me know what you've got planned. Were you able to allocate your funds to your goals, or did you have to do priority-based goals like I did this year? Let me know down below, and I will see you in the next video.